Hello, Eric Graham here. Some of you may have read my articles at progressivenewsmagazine.com, but I'm no longer doing that. A so-called progressive doesn't even exist. What does it mean? It means a fraud. Bernie Sanders was a fraud. Uh, these so-called progressives, they're corrupt sellout frauds like AOC. Hillary Clinton even called herself a progressive. Uh, So, I'm a writer, musician, dissident from New York City, living outside of the U.S. now, and the U.S. Living in the U.S., you're saturated with propaganda. Uh, it's like the Matrix. You're not living in a reality. You're living in a psyop. You have to believe the narrative, and not your own ears, not your own eyes, or you get shunned. It's like the Democrats are like a cult, uh, and it's mostly older people now that are watching, CNN and MSNBC. So please tell your friends and family not watch that. Don't watch it. Just stop watching the corrupt corporate news media because they're just propaganda outlets for the uh, Pentagon, CIA, DNC. Uh, so you know, out some of you've probably, if you have disagreed with any of your friends or family members, if you criticize and point out the corruption and hypocrisy of the Democrats, you may lose your friends and family. Uh, it happened to me. Uh, Even, what aggravates me, right now about Kamala Harris, you know, she was uh, she was disowned by her own father. Her father is very angry at Kamala Harris. He is a uh, well-known uh, professor at Stanford University. I believe he's retired now. He was a Marxist economist professor at Stanford University, a black man, a Jamaican. And, so something that hit home with me is, my own mother rejects me. She doesn't speak to me now because of the research and the articles that I've written. Uh, she is a uh, career successful, high level civilian working for at the Pentagon. I My father, he was in the army, excuse me, and then worked for the Treasury Department. But you know, uh, my mother, she can't debate on the issues, and like all the Democrats do, they resort to smears, insults, threats, censorship, or denial because they can't debate on the issues. They can't debate on the policies. Uh, so Kamala Harris, her own father, is very angry with her because when she appeared on the Breakfast Club, that's the same program where the Biden appeared on and told them, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So, Kamala Harris's father went through a divorce when they were younger, and his Kamala Harris's mother in the court system, she used the stereotype about black Jamaican men being lazy marijuana smokers, lazy irresponsible marijuana smokers, and of course he was not. But she used that stereotype in order to win the child custody battle in court, and he suffered. He lost his children. He lost in court, and and then so Kamala Harris, she goes on the Breakfast Club show, and when they ask her about marijuana smoking, she says, "Oh, of course, of course I got high. My father is a Jamaican, so of course I got high." And he was very angry about that. So Kamala Harris used the same stereotypical propaganda about Jamaican men concerning, and that her mother used against her father. And he was very upset about that. And he said it's a travesty for her to be elected president, or he's very upset. Anyway, she's been disowned by her own father, and she was a so anyway. I just the Democrats. This is what they do. If you don't fall in line with the group think cult mentality, you will be attacked, smeared, insulted. Uh, they don't debate on the policy issues. It's just censorship and denial is what they have to resort to. Uh, and whataboutism? What about Trump? So that's just a little background. Uh, and yesterday was a real spectacle, a particularly disgusting, revealing day in this fall of the empire, the U.S. empire that we're witnessing real time here in this modern internet age. Uh, we had some grade A bullshit from Van Jones on CNN about how great Kamala Harris is, and Van Jones with his slick, shiny, bald head. He's a former dreadlock black radical activist. Uh, I've seen him give fiery speeches against the U.S. government, and he actually took his own advice. When he was a black radical activist, I heard him say, so in other words, he was speaking about something that they wanted to achieve, and he said, you might as well, buy a suit and go get a job and sell out, speaking to, the crowd that was there before him. And that's what he did. From black radical activist to CNN propagandist, Van Jones. He claimed that he was on a phone call with 20,000 black men, and 1,000 times they said that they would protect Kamala Harris. Like black men, they're gonna if you attack Kamala Harris, black men are not gonna stand for it. They're gonna defend her. Black people do not like Kamala Harris. She's repulsive. She harmed black people when she was the attorney general in California. She refused to let an innocent man uh, out of prison. When she wanted to use, she defends the slavery. It's a form of slavery, the cheap labor that she got from prisoners. And when she was ordered to release some prisoners, she refused and pointed out that we need the cheap labor. Uh, and Hillary Clinton is still in the shadows. Maybe she may end up as Kamala Harris's VP, or they may try to replace Kamala Harris with Hillary Clinton, if you can believe it. She's still lurking in the shadows because Kamala Harris is very unpopular, and there's no way that she could beat Donald Trump. And yesterday we had some classic standard propaganda about from Joe Biden, the walking corpse, about when he gave his speech. He's not going to run for president again. We had some classics, propaganda about the Democrats saving the sacred democracy that doesn't exist, from Donald Trump. Uh, there is no democracy in the United States, and the Democrats, constantly fear mongering. You need them to protect you from Donald Trump. Uh, and last but not least, there was the appearance from a certain Polish American Jew. And by the way, for the YouTube censors, my background that I spoke about, my mother who worked for the Pentagon. Uh, my father is a black Christian, and my mother a white Jewish woman. So, I'm from a biracial background. So when I criticize and critique Israel for the genocide that they're doing, it's based on facts. It's based on the ICJ ruling. It's not based on racism. If I criticize Kamala Harris, it's not racism or anti-feminism. Uh, it's because I have a diverse, background. And so I did grow up with Christmas and Hanukkah, celebrating the Jewish holidays as well as the Christian standard American holidays. So for the YouTube censors, these are the facts. These are critiques and criticisms based on facts and not racism. So there was also the disgusting appearance in front of Congress of a certain Polish American Jew named Milkowski, Benjamin Milkowski. That's Benjamin Netanyahu's real original name, and they use these fake names to try to sound more indigenous because a Polish Jew, a Polish European white man who practices Judaism is not a Semite. They're not indigenous to Palestine. So this is about colonialism. And this is why the United States is participating in this genocide, because the United States also has a tradition, a history of settler colonialism. The United States, the foundation of the United States is genocide against the indigenous people and then slavery. But so the Republicans and the Democrats, they're both equally corrupt. They both cheered for Netanyahu's lies. He's still spreading the same lies that are debunked about, mass rapes, burned babies, killing babies, and it's just it's like teenagers sitting around a campfire just making up horror stories. These are the lies that Benjamin Netanyahu spewed out in front of Congress, and they cheered and they applauded because they're all making money. They're all in the pocket of AIPAC. They're all in the pocket of the military-industrial complex. They're all about colonialism, and so yeah. So I'm going to play this. Kamala Harris, phony liar. She grew up in a wealthy neighborhood in Canada, and she was never, part of the African American experience, living as a poor black child. When she was a senator, she was hailed as the first woman, Indian, Asian senator, and now she's when the DNC told her, then she flipped and she became a poor black child, who faced discrimination, and she never was that. So they're all.
We've also heard, and I'm going to now direct this at Vice President Biden. I do not believe you are a racist, and I agree with you when you commit yourself to the importance of finding common ground. But I also believe, and it's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing. And there was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Okay, now, first of all, okay, she was lying when she said that I was that little girl, because she was never a poor black child in America. She was always up from a well-to-do family. Both of her parents, her mother was a cancer doctor, researcher, and her father, as I said, was a professor at Stanford. Uh, and also, and Biden, he didn't call her out for it, because it's all theater, and they all they're all working for their donors. They're not certainly not working for the American people. And so much of it's a yeah, and also Kamala Harris, in the beginning, she starts off with, uh, I do not think you're a racist," and then she contradicts herself and goes on to describe how his behaviors make him a racist. Uh, so yeah, and so Kamala Harris is a total fake, a total phony. Like they all are total fakes and total phonies. It's all about a psyop. Uh, and Kamala Harris, she's known for her inappropriate, laughing. Uh, you know, she's totally incompetent and way over her head. She has no chance of winning against Donald Trump. And the Democrats, they're desperate. That's why, they try to assassinate Donald Trump, because they're so desperate to hold on to power. And the hypocrisy, Joe Biden had been making statements about Trump, about what a threat he is to the soul of America, and the democracy that doesn't even exist in the United States. Uh, the United States is controlled by the wealthy, the deep state, the intelligence agencies. That's why they killed Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the other Kennedys. They killed RFK, JFK, and now they try to assassinate Trump, because they don't. Donald Trump, he only said that we need good relations with Russia, uh, and he spoke about NATO critically, and so they don't tolerate that. And Donald Trump, he's a little bit unpredictable. Now he's made some good statements about Israel in terms of ending their genocide. He said that it's Netanyahu that is the one who does not want a deal. He does not want a peace deal. He is standing in the way of a peace deal. The Palestinians and Hamas have been very willing and open to a ceasefire. And Benjamin Netanyahu does not want it, because he will go to prison, because he's known to be so corrupt in his own country. But yet he's a war criminal according to the ICC and the ICJ. But he was invited and welcome to speak in front of Congress. But so
I would not be standing here were it not for the education I received. And I know many of us will say the same thing. And I believe a child going without an education is tantamount to a crime. So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco.
okay, see, what the hell is so funny? You see, she's that's uncomfortable. That's a nervous laughter. She's went way over her head, and I'm going to show you the connection.
And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very
So
controversial in San Francisco.
she's discussing locking up parents because their children have a poor attendance record in school or something along those lines. And here she is. She's been an enemy of black people in California. And Joe Biden was an enemy of black people because he's the one who created the 1994 crime bill, where it discriminated and was harsh to black people for a tiny little bit of crack compared to because that's the drug of the poor people, but the powdered cocaine, which is the sophisticated drug of the wealthy, uh, they got light sentences, but they wanted to make a lot of money with private prisons, so uh, Joe Biden, he brags about the 1994 crime bill, very harmful to black people, but then they turn around and they always demand that black people vote for them, and they say, oh, Trump is a racist. But anyway, it's not working anymore. But you see this inappropriate laughter. She's discussing locking up people's. She's discussing locking up parents, uh, putting them in jail. Is her solution, not to address the issues that may be underlying if a student does not have a great attendance record. There's some ways that the government could help these situations and provide support, but instead they would rather just lock up, put them in prison, and make money off of them with their cheap labor, and the private prison industry makes money.
In San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went.
Okay, and so you see that inappropriate laughter, and I'm going to show you something. Hillary Clinton, a sociopath, uh, and Hillary Clinton, she also does the inappropriate laughter. It's a nervous laughter. It's a disingenuous laughter. Uh, Hillary Clinton, when she was the Secretary of State, she was the main proponent of the U.S. NATO invasion and destruction of Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, Libya was the most financially successful country in Africa at the time, and under Obama, but pushed by Hillary Clinton, they in NATO, they invaded to get rid of Gaddafi because he was talking about using a currency that was not the U.S. dollar, the dinar. He wanted to create an Africa based on gold to be used for trading in Africa instead of the U.S. dollar. And so that's what it's about. You threaten the U.S. dollar, and the empire comes after you. And watch this. So, Libya went from being the most successful, financially successful country in Africa to being a disaster. After NATO, the United States, uh, murdered, had Gaddafi murdered, uh, Libya fell into a terrible state, and there even was open air slave markets, sex trafficking and slave markets were going on there. And Gaddafi, he was brutally uh, murdered. Basically what they did was the United States, uh,
No, it's so. I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
the United States, NATO forces, they went in and they basically uh, turned, you know, Gaddafi, he had some enemies. There was some anti-government forces, and so they basically turned him. They basically caught Gaddafi. They invaded. They caught Gaddafi, the president of Libya. They basically turned him over uh, to his enemies, and he was murdered in a horrific fashion. Uh, and you know, he was murdered in cold blood by uh, a gang of his enemies, and he was brutally beaten. He was even sodomized. It was disgusting, and this was caused unnecessarily. NATO is a force of aggression. It's controlled by the United States. It's not a force for peace or good in the world. NATO uh, is about weapons, the military-industrial complex making money. It's about controlling the resources of other countries, maintaining the U.S. dominance uh, over the world's resources, uh, maintaining U.S. hegemony and control on the world. I don't know why this is not playing. Give me 1 second. There's a lightning storm going on, so I'm having some slow internet here. I think it's coming now. So Hillary Clinton,
No, it's so. I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
okay, so you see, I just described, she's laughing there.
No, it's so. I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, I'm sure it did.
So there's the laughter, inappropriate laughter, just like Kamala Harris. She's laughing there about what she did. She had a man murdered and sodomized and murdered in a horrific fashion, and she is laughing about it. So that's something that she shares in common with Kamala Harris, and so yeah, I'm going to be so Progressive News Magazine. I'm going to find a different vehicle for my articles, but this channel here, I'm going to be looking for support. I'm going to start a Patreon. I'm going to be looking to because the solution, the U.S. empire is falling, and they're very dangerous right now. The Biden administration is the most dangerous administration in the history of the world. He's participated in this genocide uh, along with Netanyahu, um, and so as the empire falls, people that have been traditionally apolitical, I'm reaching out to. I have, some family people have asked me to, because, they did read my articles. Um, and they asked me my opinion about Kamala Harris, so I decided to start this now a little bit ahead of schedule because I was just so aggravated about the Kamala Harris issue and about Benjamin Netanyahu with his lies in front of Congress. They stood up and cheered for his lies. But I will be looking to expand this channel to do interviews and provide solutions, networking in terms of there's going to need to be boycotts, protests, worker co-ops, mutual aid societies, people running for local offices. The big federal government is the problem. It's why you're able to have so much, corruption. The Pentagon, there's trillions of dollars missing. Uh, they've never been able to pass an audit, and this is all possible because of big government. So, as the U.S. empire falls, things are going to get worse before they get better. But eventually, solutions will come, and the world will be, in a better place. The BRICS nations are rising. The world dominated by the singular U.S. empire is ending, and a unipolar world is emerging. And so the United States, instead of accepting this reality, these corrupt Democrats, they're very dangerous. Uh, they're going to try to hold on to power, which is what led to the Trump assassination. That was an obvious inside job. And so, please, I will be looking for support. Please please subscribe, please recommend to your friends and your family, and continue. So, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and continue to tune in and support the channel. I will be starting a link to Patreon, and all right. So please tell your friends and your family, stop watching the CNN, MSNBC, The View, all these propaganda outlets. They're just paid propagandists working for the billionaire class, the military industrial complex, the Pentagon, CIA. All right. Peace out.